Greetings and welcome to Pinball Help. Today, this is the second episode of Pinball Stories. And on this episode, I'm featuring a game that's a kind of a rare game. It's Bally's Escape from the Lost World. Not to be confused with Bally's Lost World, which is an earlier game from, I believe, the 80s. This game, I believe, is from either the late 80s or the early 90s. It uses the later 6803 based Bally system. See, it has the alphanumeric displays there. And again, really interesting story about how I picked this game up. It's not in the greatest condition. It's got all kinds of rust around the lockdown bar. Look at this. Look how rusty it is, or it's. These games, I don't know if these versions, and the Bally games had artwork on the sides, but not on the front, which is kind of weird. It was always kind of black like that. And they had the 2 extra buttons for adjusting high scores that weren't really used for anything else. And this is a game, I guess, kind of their homage to Jurassic Park without having to pay the licensing fees for the movie. What's unique about this game is it's one of the few games that actually has artwork silkscreened onto the glass. It's very rare to find these games, much less find one with an original back glass that has, see the artwork on the back glass, and there's a little pterodactyl up here. So it gives a really cool 3D effect, and the game has got all kinds of 3D effects. It has a lower playfield that is completely non-functional down there. It's just a little clear area that's lit up. That's it. There's nothing down there. The ball's not going to go down there. I think it'd be fun to throw something down in there, like a little dinosaur or something. But it's really cool. It's a very visually attractive game. I don't know how exciting it is to play long term. I think it's kind of a little bit got a 1 or 2 trick pony things to it. It's got interesting synthesized speech. It's a neat little game. It's a very unorthodox playfield layout that really. I think this era Bally, they were being very experimental, trying different things. So how did I come across this game? Well, let's talk about that. And while we talk about it, I'm going to fix it because I see there's a ball stuck in the game. So I'm going to. This is my excuse to fix up and refurbish these games. Is okay. I'll tell a story about them while I'm doing it, so that I can. I'm motivated to actually get this stuff done. So this is an interesting, how I came about this one is pretty interesting. I'm kind of known as the pinball guy in the area, and people know that. So if they hear a pinball machine someplace, they'll say, "Hey, call Mike about that. He can kind of help you with this." Or if there's somebody's trying to sell a pinball machine or something like that, "Hey, call Mike. Find out if he knows." So there's our missing ball. Okay. So in the case of this game, somebody called me and said, "Yeah, I heard you're the pinball guy," and I'm like, "I guess. Can I help you?" And they said, "I got this game in my garage," and I'm like, "Well, what do you want to do with it?" And he's like, "Well, the garage is being torn down, and I'm rebuilding on the property, and it's not working. My brother took it apart and was working on it, and." Just come get it if you want it, because I hate to see it get destroyed. So I'm like, "Well, what game is it?" And he said, "It's Lost World." And I'm thinking, yeah, that's not that's an okay game, but if it's not working condition, I don't even know if I want to go out, even for free, because you never really know. I've been called out to look at games before, and they were left in somebody's carport, and they were completely ruined. I've seen so many games that were working, and then they just moved them outside when they needed some room, and then it rained or something, and everything just fell apart. Especially the Bally's, if they're left outside, those back glasses will delaminate in an instant, and then the wood just soaks up moisture and it just disintegrates. So I was like, I don't know. But then again, there was a little voice inside my head that said, "You know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You got to go check it out." So I'm like, "Okay, what's the address?" I'll go out there. And I go out there and I meet the guy. It's like some little suburban area. He's just, little small house with a garage. And you could see the house, like the foundation was poking up out of the ground. This thing had some serious foundation problems. And so they were just getting ready to tear it completely down and rebuild. And the garage was really bad. It was an old garage, and and you could see it was kind of partially, like it had been raided and ripped apart. And there was just piles of crap in there. And so He's like, come around back. It's in the garage. So I go around expecting to see a Bally Lost World, the one with the D&D looking guy on the front, and I see Escape from the Lost World, and I'm like, whoa, that is a game I've never seen before. I've never played before. That's pretty rare, you know. Hey, I'll grab it. So I'm like, sure, I'm loading it up. So I start packing it up, and as I'm looking at the game, I realize that there's no flippers on it, and I'm like, okay, where's the flippers? You know. And so I'm realizing, this thing's going to be torn down. I got to make sure I got all the parts for it, and there's not everything there. And he's like, well, my brother was trying to fix it. It's probably on the workbench in the garage. So I load the machine up, right? And I didn't have a whole lot of time because he's like, people are coming. I got to leave. So if you want it, you got to take it. So I load it up in my car, and then I go back into the garage, and I find a few little parts. I find the flippers and some other stuff. And so I take it and take it back home, And a lot of times when I get some of these games, I'll get the game and I'll just stack it and I'll look at it later. But I just had a feeling, I need to take a look at this game right away. Even though I got a million other things to do and I just picked it up, I'm going to take a look at it because, So I start to look at the game and I pull up IPDB and I realize that there's something missing. There's a ramp in the middle of the game that's not there. Now, I had no idea what this ramp really looks like, but I could see in the playfield there was something missing. And what's missing was this metal piece right there. You see this thing? And it doesn't look like a ramp. And even when you see it in pictures, it's hard to see exactly what this thing is. But it's got an interesting playfield layout where the ball shoots up here and it rolls around, and then this flipper can hit it up here to score a special thing. But there's no edges of the ramp. It's like a weird folded stamped piece of metal. So I'm like, oh shit, that ramp is missing. And of course I looked and there's no way, nobody sells that ramp. It's unobtainium completely. This is a low production, very rare game. Missing this ramp, it's just, it's useless. And I don't even know if I could fabricate it because it's so weird, and it's weird and bent, and it goes around this thing, and it flares over here. So I call the guy back up, and I'm like, "There's a couple parts missing. Can I come back and look for him?" He's like, the garage has been torn down. It's just a pile of rubble. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, well, can I come anyway? Can I just? I'll be careful. Look, you want me to sign a liability waiver? That's fine, but I gotta just, go look. He's like, okay, sure. So I go out there, and it's just, there's piles of shit everywhere. They've knocked the roof and the walls down, and I'm looking all around, and I don't really know what I'm looking for because, if it was a traditional plastic ramp, it'd be easy to see, or a wire form ramp. But this thing looks just like a piece of twisted metal, and of course, that's all I saw in the rubble was all of this metal. So I just start grabbing any weird little thing that I think might possibly be this ramp. Little pieces of flat metal and connectors and parts from lawn mowers and, because this guy it was like a little shop he had in the back with all kinds of dysfunctional equipment that probably hadn't run in years and years. So I grabbed something and I look at this and what struck me was it was gold. It was dark gold colored, and I thought, for a piece of metal, why would it be powder coated like that? I thought, this could possibly be the ramp. I don't know. But I just grabbed a bunch of these things, but it didn't look like a ramp, right? So I bring it back, and lo and behold, it fit perfectly. It dropped right in. I was like, yes, yay. I could not believe that I found that ramp. So, and the game ended up being complete. There's a few little plastic pieces, but this is a complete game. And so I ended up getting it working. Now, I had to do quite a bit of work to get this thing on its feet. One of the big problems was, there's a plastic skirt and plastic injection molded ramps. This thing had been sitting in the Louisiana heat in a garage, and all the plastic had gotten soft and kind of just started to droop and it deformed. And I had to literally reform a lot of this, and then there were spots where I used a clear epoxy that I mixed up and I poured so that I could level it out, because the ramps that were in here were no longer level. Like there's a little squiggly thing here, and there was divots and from all the plastic kind of that just collapsed. So I ended up having to fill all of this with epoxy and level it off so that the ramps would work. And so the end result was I got the game working, and it plays really well. And you know, so right now the sound is not working. That's weird. But, this is one of those things where I'll turn it back on, and it'll start working. There's our shot across the ramp, and I missed it. You know, so fun little game, quite a rare game. I don't know if I've done a video on the gameplay of this, but I probably should. And a funny story about how I got this game for free, and I almost would have never been able to restore it had I not had to go back and sift through, you know, the wreckage of somebody's garage. So there's always an adventure. Every game has a story, and you know, that's the one. Escape from the Lost World. So I hope you guys enjoy these pinball stories, and I'll be doing more of them. And if there's anything else that you want, just send me a note. And until next time, thank you guys for watching.